The FBI has been hacked. Peter's going to tell us about it on kind of an actually critical update.
Yeah, this is a not so critical update, which we decided to record out of band for us because this is really scary thing that's happening right now, which I just came across. So what's happening is that emails are being sent out from the purporting to be from the FBI, and they're being sent from FBI servers, and they're impersonating the FBI, and um, they're quite interesting. We'll get onto that in a second, but it's there is no way an average end user could tell that these are not actually from the FBI, and it's very alarming. So this was noticed earlier today by Spam House, who tweeted about it, and some other people, which is the tweet that's on the screen at the moment. I saw that Brian Krebs from Krebs on Security, um, he got one of these this morning, and he posted full headers, which clearly show it's coming from FBI.gov servers, and he posted a Whois lookup on the server IPs, which show that it's legit infrastructure owned by the FBI. I mean, they're all the usual advice about being careful about emails and where they come from, and what to do to protect yourself is just null and void because these are coming from FBI servers.
So this is
Yeah.
not great.
No,
Not good news,
this is
Peter.
absolutely awful. It's not good news. I think a lot of people are going to be fooled by this. The thing is that the only way that you can tell that this is not legit is like Spidey sense. It's just there's something seems a bit off, or if you heard about it on Twitter or whatever. I didn't see any news out on the big news sites like security sites yet, but I imagine there will be something very soon, or I've missed something.
So let's do.
And the email, sorry, yeah.
Go ahead, Peter.
The other thing is that the emails themselves they don't have like, it's not a typical phishing link. There's nothing, it's just like a kind of alert coming from someone, and there's nothing to click on that I can see. Maybe there's a link that's not in the screenshot, but it seems like the way that this is the attack is starting out is they're looking for people to reply, to start up a conversation so that they can actually, which is kind of genius because it's the usual advice is check the headers. If it doesn't seem to be like from someone that don't click any links that go to places you don't know about. All the standard stuff just doesn't count here.
So, okay, I think we're actually looking at this completely wrong. They mention that the threat actor is Vinny Troya. Vinny Troya is a security researcher and I guess a threat hunter. And he tweeted an hour ago, he said, wow, I can't imagine who would be behind this. And then said the Dark Overlord, which is, it's mentioned in the email, who I guess is some anonymous black hatter who goes by Pompor or something. And Vinny basically goes on to say he's flattered. This is a quote. Should I be flattered that the kids who hacked the FBI email servers decided to do it in my name? So,
well, yeah,
really interesting. I guess he's like fairly known in the space. This is actually the first time I'm hearing of him. He has 10,000 followers on Twitter and wrote a book called Hunting Cyber Criminals. So I imagine that this is either a kind of like a FU to this guy from this one Black Hatter, because like you said, like there's no link to click. There's what have they really done besides, well, what looks to be that they hacked the email servers of the FBI or a government agency.
They're
I
not
don't know.
asking for a
I'm
response. There's no call to action. There's nothing here other than
well.
we're sending you this
Okay,
message.
so the other thing, okay, I don't. We probably jumped into this a bit too quickly, but it is important, and I'm glad that we're talking about it. But I think, and I'm willing to be proven wrong here, but I think that the way that they're trying to hook people is by getting them to reply, and then there's going to be a follow up that says, hey, listen, download this scanning tool or something, which is actually just a piece of malware. Apparently, it went out to people who are part of the kind of regulatory or infrastructure side of things. And so I think it's a fairly targeted thing. And the guy, what's his name, Vasily, I think his name was probably just picked out of, just a well-known threat researcher. Dark Overlord could have been anyone. It could have been REvil, could have been, there was no specific reason for picking those. If it was just a couple of script kiddies who'd hacked the FBI's email servers, then I would have thought that the response would be more like, hey, Vasily's a cock and we hate the FBI. More kind of like typical hack site type stuff.
So if their plan is to get the responses or send another update, I mean, they better act pretty quickly. This is not in the broad release of the news cycle, but probably not going to take very long. This is kind of a big deal.
Sure, but it's not. They don't need to get many people. This is really, it's quite convincing. And if you're not on Twitter, it's already been out for 5 hours. So I would imagine so if this was me and I had received this email and I was like, hang on, this doesn't seem like the right tone that I would expect from the FBI. I'd check the headers, and then I would probably shit myself because it looks like it's genuinely from the FBI, and it'd be like, oh my God, I've got a major thing I need to drop everything right now. And it's on the weekend. There's less resources around to verify things. There's less people going to be, hey, did you get this email from anyone? Did you hear about this? Like, between 5 hours ago and now, I would have done a lot of things. So, John, if I had been convinced this was real.
Do these words make sense? Is this like a legitimate threat?
No, this makes no sense.
Like what is the claim that the email is making? How would you, as an administrator, how would you interpret this?
The high level claim is that this guy is like hacking whoever is receiving the email. Vinny Troya is basically
but from a technical standpoint, try to black hole the transit nodes. He'll modify the attack with fast flux technologies. Like, are these even real things?
No, like fast flux technologies.
Fast flux is a thing, mate. In DNS world, fast flux is.
There's no way that fast flux is a real
look for fast flux DNS.
It's a DNS technique used by botnets. Oh my God, what a name!
Yep,
love it.
Told you.
When I read, I'll tell you what the problem was. I read fast flux. I was like, this has to be high level, like flux.
It's like a
control.
That's what I thought too.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
No, it's real.
But it feels like they just threw a bunch of, it feels like they just threw a bunch of words together that loosely make sense. Like, we tried to black hole the transit nodes, I guess that can kind of make sense, that they're trying to like black hole the whatever requests are being sent, but still I actually think it is an attack on this guy. I'm going to hold to that. And
okay.
Because they keep saying like, beware this threat actor who's currently working under inspection of the NCCIC. As we are dependent on some of his intelligence research, we cannot interfere physically within 4 hours. So it's
under inspection is an interesting word, because that's not how you would say it in the U.S. You would say under investigation, right?
That's very true.
There's just enough in this to trigger my spidey sense. But here's the thing. I would be suspicious. And I would say, okay, it says FBI. First thing I was going to look at the headers. Okay, this is FBI.gov service. Then check pass. Is that a real one? Like do a whois, like Brian Kretsch did?
Yep.
Yeah, real. It registered in 1982 or whatever. It's ancient service. Okay. I probably would start googling the email address. I bet this is a real thing. The other thing that I mentioned on Discord when we were bringing this up is about Quackbot, which is a thing that has been affecting Microsoft Exchange servers recently. Ironically, on some cybersecurity mailing lists that I'm on, there's been some people who've sent messages to the list, and they've received personal replies from other people on the list. And these are big lists with thousands of people on, with like CISOs and like information security professionals. And they've received personal replies from someone else that are kind of legit. What's happened is that the Microsoft Exchange servers hosting their mailboxes have been hacked, and then they Quackbot impersonates that person's mailbox, and as far as the Exchange server is concerned, it's really that person. So there's nothing to show that it's not a legit email from that person. So that you send an email to a cybersecurity list with a bunch of information security professionals on, you get a personal reply from someone else on the list. It's very, it's pretty good.
Is there any room for error here, right? Like, so they would always say, well, you can't spoof an IP address. This has to indicate it's a compromised server. Is there any wiggle room here?
No. Basically. No.
Asked and answered.
I don't know if this is the same thing as Quackbot, but it's very, very similar to what's happening. Yeah. There's something under the FBI's infrastructure has been compromised and is being used to send out these weird emails with no links in them. It's either a weird attack.
Saying it was like the Leap service, LEEP, whatever that is.
Maybe I'm not familiar with that myself. I'm really curious to see how this develops, and it's a breaking story. Our first breaking story, guys.
Yeah, it's our first breaking story.
Yeah.
Leap is the law enforcement enterprise portal. So potentially people are saying that this is where the attackers got in.
Does it run Exchange?
I guess we don't know. Honestly, a lot of the tweets are like, wouldn't surprise me if this is an Exchange issue. And also wouldn't surprise me if the FBI is running Exchange.
Or, what else would they be running? They use enterprise email.
Right.
If they're not using Exchange, what are they using? They're not running their own software.
Yeah. Well, so there's a lot of other mail servers.
What are you guys going to do for New Year's of 2005? It's coming up
soon. Yeah. So listen, I have no advice to give anybody in this situation. I don't know what to do. There's no playbook for something like this. I don't know what the standard way to deal with it is.
And there's no link, right? Like everything about this is crazy.
I wish I had done one.
I'm going to hold true. I'm telling you, I think I'm going to keep an eye on that one account I found that Vinny called out. Because supposedly that's potentially the attacker. So I think it's a high-level troll. I think it's like, we can do this.
Specifically against Vinny.
Well, if that's all it is.
Also, it's just a flex, to be honest. I think it's a big flex.
I don't know. See, that's what I meant earlier. But like the hacker flexes are usually like, "Hey, we got your site. We're amazing." Like REvils' latest updates, like they are not the masters they think they are. Who would you rather be with, the qualified or the losers or whatever? But this is like it's not blatant enough to me. I really wish I had received one of these so that I could reply and pretend to be fooled to see if there was any follow-up.
Right.
Why hasn't this happened more? If we're saying basically the Exchange, whatever email server, Exchange server was compromised, and that's how this is getting sent out, like, why doesn't this happen all the time? We know how bad security is generally.
I don't think that's a fair. I don't think that's a fair, like, because you're basically saying if it happened now, why hasn't it happened in the past? And they do happen all the time. Like these attacks, because we have to, you got to remember that, well, yes, the FBI is probably a very high target. They're running thousands of services that are public facing. This is just one. And this is just one that an attacker decided to head down the rabbit hole and find something. It's difficult to, I think it's more difficult to find these types of vulnerabilities and exploit them than we make out to be.
Yeah.
Make it up.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe one of the reasons it's not more professional is because it was put together hurriedly.
Exactly. How do I claim kind of like nonchalantly or in a like a roundabout way? How do I claim this attack while also maybe there's some beef with this guy, so we're going to call him out and put the ringer on him because he's now obviously going to be reached out by the FBI. He's going to be reached out by God knows how his Twitter is already blowing up.
There's one other thing. One other thing about the email though is that they do give themselves a time frame. They say, as we are dependent on some of his intelligence research, we cannot interfere physically within 4 hours. So they might have only been giving themselves 4 hours to take advantage of this. So,
it might, for all we know, this 4 hours is like you said, they're saying we have 4 hours to run rampant on your infrastructure. FBI.
Right. That's how long we think we'll get away with this for.
Doing that. So they start the email by saying our intelligence monitoring indicates exfiltration of several of your virtualized clusters in a sophisticated chain attack. So they're not telling you what to do with that information. They're saying there's nothing we can do. What would you do if you thought that was a problem? Would you start taking servers offline? Would you just activate your team to investigate?
I could say I would. Yeah. After I've shit myself, I would immediately reply and ask for more information. I would just say, "Hi, can you tell me more about this, please?"
Wait, Mike, are you asking as the FBI?
No, as someone who receives this email.
Oh,
what's your response going to be? Yes, you're going to ask for more information, but you're not just going to sit there and wait for a reply. You're going to activate your entire team to start looking into this. What's the response plan for something like this?
Yeah, so after, and then I would start looking into all my servers. It said it's quite generic. Our intelligence monitoring indicates exfiltration of several of your virtualized clusters in a sophisticated chain attack. That sounds plausible. Virtualized clusters, we've seen Twitch getting their entire source code compromised. We had VMs being released of, was it Parler or one of the
Epic
something
or whatever it was?
Yeah. So that seems plausible. Sophisticated supply chain attacks are the big, hot topic these days. I would start thinking, okay, which of my VMs are going to be compromised? Go and check all of them, have a look. I'd be scrambling. Maybe there's nothing to find, but it's difficult to prove a negative. But I would wait for the thing that I'd be hoping for was more information from this person.
Yeah.
That's really, and I probably would be searching. I'd go to FBI.gov and see if there's any official information or any releases. But sometimes there isn't because, they try and clean things up beforehand or whatever. So
the first thing I do is search this guy's name.
Really? Why? Oh, the guy who this is sent from.
Why wouldn't I? This is the first why is the FBI telling me who they think the attacker is?
Right, so it's from a guy called AINS at ic.fbi.gov. So it's just an email address. It's not a name on it.
No. I would look up Vinny.
But they're just saying this guy's. They're just saying he's the threat actor.
Sure.
Before you call your engineers,
why would the FBI? What, Mike?
Before you call your engineers to say, "Oh my God, you guys got to get on this right away."
Right, like why? I don't know. It's just not that convincing when you really look at it. I think in the moment you're like, "Holy fuck, the FBI emailed me," and it's actually from the FBI. But then you look at it a second time. A minute has passed at this point. You're like, Vinny Troya, why are you mentioning this guy? And then I look up Vinny Troya. I see he's just some PhD confirmed on Twitter, has a check mark on Twitter, is a threat hunter. And then it would very quickly be like, holy shit, I think the FBI got hacked.
Well, I don't know. I can see a lot of people who would think differently. And the point is, it's not just whether you or I would be convinced. And we obviously have the benefit of hindsight here. Right. It's have they gotten? Is there anybody who's for any reason believes this? And I think there's too many convincing elements of it, and all the standard advice is just useless here.
Is there any sense
to know how many emails got sent out?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. Is there any sense of who was targeted by these emails, or was it just everybody that the FBI has an email address for? Was it people in specific roles that could be susceptible to something like this? Or not susceptible,
there is a bit more information
that it would apply to.
There is a bit more information about who it was sent to, and apparently, let me just see if I can find that now. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves.
And this is Rush. We just released an episode this morning. We're going to get this out as a second segment here today because this is a breaking story. Peter, very connected to the security community where this is being discussed. Jon, obviously our resident security expert. So we are, kind of rushing to get this out. There's a lot of speculation at this point. It has not hit the mainstream news, the major news outlets, I guess you'd say. But it does seem like a pretty big deal. So Jon, if this is, clearly it's happening, right? As Peter said, it kind of breaks all of our typical advice to confirm the email address, check the headers, make sure the links don't redirect anywhere else. Like, what do you do with this? Do you just say it doesn't happen very often, it's a one-off? Do you put together a new training program for your users? Like, how do you respond to this?
I wish I had more information, because was this sent to all domains on all emails that I need?
Okay, so there's an update from Spamhaus, and it's apparently being sent to addresses scraped from the ARIN database, which is the IP address database, I think. So it's basically being sent to like infrastructure people, the American Registry for Internet numbers, and it's like the people who when you register a group of an AS, for the benefit of our readers, it's the people who look after the IP numbers for a particular region of the
to whom a message like this could be applicable. Yeah,
and apparently it was sent around 2:00 in the morning. I guess Eastern time. I don't know, American time. Whatever. It was early in the morning for America, so there's a lot of people. The sea levels are off on the beach hut, or
Is that what you think Americans do in the morning?
The executive ones, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The CISOs, yeah, or they're
Fair
still
enough.
partying, out partying. And yeah, if I was this network admin and I got one of these emails, I'd be like, and I was, because it would be as the technical contact for an ASN, I would be the person getting an email like this. I would be like, okay, what do I do? I can't, Billy's still out clubbing. Shut everything down. Okay, guys. And then I start calling all my.
Hopefully they're
my
all
NOC
as
engineers.
level-headed as Jon.
I suck. No, they're not going to be.
I think maybe I wouldn't be. I just think I would look up the FBI contact email and email them instead. And there it is, right there, first, right on the page. Contact us. And
right, but here's the thing: it's coming from the FBI. It's coming from someone at FBI.gov.
But you're not wrong. But like everything about this is suspect, from the content to the email. Like, what is that?
Right.
What is that email address? What was it? IM dash like what,
EIMS at is.fbi.gov or something like that.
I
don't know. I would be very sketched out. I would also be freaking out because I was receiving a personal email from the FBI. So, but very quickly logic would take over with the whole name dropping Vinny and Vinny Troya and whatever else is in there, like the Dark Horse or whatever is the Dark Lord.
If you're a network contact listed in ARIN's database, then it's not. I think it would not be unusual for you to get one of these. It's quite difficult to. If there was a legit issue on your network, then you might get a hacker telling you about it, or the FBI telling you about it.
Plus, like Peter said, these are very convincing headers. Yes, it's prudent
because they're real. That's why.
Because they're real. Yes, they're authentic headers. It's very, it's prudent to reach back out and say, hey, send me more information. But even if he's totally on top of this, of everybody who's being affected by this, what's a reasonable response time? Best case, you're talking about 10 minutes, 20 minutes, more likely even longer than that. And you're going to do what in the meantime? Just wait for more information?
Yeah.
You're going to start locking down your network.
You can't just ignore this. If I got one of these, you can't just say, nah, probably nothing. You have to take action, because if you're wrong, that's you're fucked, basically.
Can I hold back now?
If you ignore this and don't do anything, then there is a potential for so much harm to be done to your network. If it's a full VM being exfiltrated, then and you've got an email from the FBI and it's from the legit headers,
and this was within the past 5 or 6 hours. How long ago was this story broken by?
Yeah,
crowds?
5-6 hours. Yeah,
5-6 hours.
Yeah.
So there are probably
the
people. It's 11 a.m. here almost on the East Coast. There are probably people in California on a Saturday morning waking up to this right now.
Yeah.
Don't panic. This is a fraud.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely do a follow-up on this on the next recording. But thanks for joining us, anyone who's watching.
Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck. Thoughts and prayers with you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.